Love is pain. Grief is love with nowhere to go. We fall in love, we fall out of love because apparently we're all very clumsy when it comes to love. It's really hard for me to tell that person, I love you, but really easy for me to say, I love French fries. All you need is love. Of these three, the highest is love. Love is all there is. Life has to end. Love doesn't. What is love?
There's a puppy right here.
Hi, this is Catherine, and welcome to A Grief Journey. I made this channel to kind of document my journey through grief after my daughter Kaya suddenly and unexpectedly died. So I've been gone for a while. I went back to work part-time, which has been great, but it's also been exhausting. So I just didn't have the energy to make videos. But I recently had this experience in therapy, in EMDR therapy, where I really processed the concept of love. So if you've ever lost someone really close to you, quite possibly the question of what is love? How do I continue to love this person? Do they continue to love me? Has come up. And I really wanted to share my insight with you and how that whole process happened. So if you're not familiar with EMDR therapy, it's a really excellent therapy for trauma and grief, both of which I have and am dealing with. And I will post some links below. If you have some trauma, if you're stuck in your grief, it might be worth looking into finding a therapist who does EMDR. Do your research. Not every EMDR therapist is created equal. Some are a little bit higher trained, some are a little bit lower trained, but it can be a really helpful therapy to kind of get you unstuck. And I'll just kind of give a brief overview. People aren't quite sure exactly how it works, but there is some like bilateral stimulation, either with eye movements or tapping two sides of your body while you're thinking of really difficult things that you're processing. And it just seems to help bring in the whole brain to help you process things more quickly and at a deeper level. So I have gone back and forth as to whether I want to describe for anyone watching this video the memory that I was processing at the time. Kind of these revelations came to me about love, and I feel it's kind of important, the intensity of this memory I have, to share with you so you kind of can understand the process that my brain went through a little bit better. So what I'm about to share with you is going to be still difficult for me to describe and quite possibly difficult for you to hear. So I'm going to describe the memory, but if you want to mute me for a while, I will do this when I'm all done, and then you can unmute me, and then I'll just talk about, what came to me about love and EMDR therapy. So the memory I was processing was when we brought Kaya's ashes home, but specifically when there was a night I was all alone in the house, and I brought her container of ashes up to her room because it just felt like a potentially cathartic or healing thing to do. And I decided to, while I was up there, open the container. And inside the container, her ashes were in a zip-tied baggie. And it just hit me all at once. These ashes in the zip-tied baggie are what's left of her smile, her voice, her brain with all those weird little thoughts. The arms and legs she gave us hugs with. That was what was left. And it just hit me really hard. I believe in her soul, and that her body was her soul's home, but not herself, but her body is the way that expression of her soul came out to us. And it just hit me really, really hard. So this was the memory I was processing in EMDR therapy. All right. So as I was going into the memory and it was hitting me that her body was gone and she was never gonna hug me again, smile at me again, tell me weird thoughts again, laugh again. It just occurred to me, when we think about love, we often think about love being developed through all of those actions. You know, I've heard many times love is a verb. You know, love is an action that you do for someone else. And my brain was quickly processing. So without those actions, how is it possible for me to continue to love her? Because I do continue to love her, but those actions are gone. Like, I really can't do anything for her in the same way I used to, and she can't do anything for me, but there's still love there. Like, you still very much feel it. It's not just missing her or wishing I could love her again. It's real love. So how could I reconcile these two things? They seemed pretty conflicting at the time. And my brain went to plants. You know, a plant starts out as a seed with all the potential of the plant in it. So could love be like that? It has all the potential of love there. And, you know, the care, the water, the soil, the sunshine, just like our care and affection and looking out after each other and sharing with each other, helps that plant to grow to its full potential. But then I realized, if you take all that stuff away, if you take away the sunshine, if you take away the soil, if you take away the water, the plant will wither and die. But that's not what's happening here. So that's not it. And then I was like, okay, so love isn't necessarily developed, because if it has to be developed through things that we do in life, then it's going to stop existing once we can't do those things anymore. And then my brain went to, okay, if it's not developed, then it has to already exist. Also, the thought came to me, if love is developed through these things, then love is conditional. And that just did not sit well with me. I don't want to think about love being conditional, especially not for Kaya in the midst of loss. That's just an awful thought to me. So, love is not conditional. Love exists whether or not we nurture it through care and affection and sharing. So that to me brought me to the conclusion that love always existed. My love for Kaya has always existed and will continue to exist. So did our care and affection and sharing develop our love or uncover love that already existed? All right, I really hope I am explaining this well, because, you know, I'm a little bit emotional after telling you the memory that I was processing, and B, it's kind of hard to explain the whole thought process in EMDR. It happens, you know, when something clicks with EMDR, it happens really, really fast, and your brain's kind of everywhere at once putting things together. So I hope I'm explaining this somewhat well. So my conclusion was, we uncovered love that already existed through these actions of care. The actions of care and affection and sharing maybe brought down the walls we put up that block us seeing the love that's already there. And I want to be clear, I know this is not a new thought. You know, this is a lot of ancient spiritual wisdom. We're all connected. We're all connected by love. Love is always there, whether you realize it or not. This isn't new. I think the reason this has been so profound for me, I knew that concept or that theory or that idea before, but through this process, it hit me as very real. We all love each other. Even that person that caused you, that did things that led to so much pain in your life, you two love each other. there is just a lot of pain blocking that love that already exists. And so that is the conclusion my mind came to, and I was really surprised at how quickly coming to this realization just kind of was filling the abyss that ripped out from under me the day Kaya died. And I've been feeling much more peace and much more joy ever since, just realizing I love everything and everybody. I might not feel it, I might not feel the warm fuzzies with it, but I know we're all connected and love is there with everyone and everything. And as I say this, I'm not naive. I know that there are some people lodged in so much pain they are not safe or healthy to have in my life. But I also know that doesn't mean I don't still have love for them. I just don't feel it necessarily, or I realize that I also love myself and I want to protect myself and keep myself away from them. All right, so then if love is between all of us already, still, what is it? What is love? And so after EMDR, your brain still processes. After, you've done the therapy a lot, I was reading this book, Conversations with God. Excellent book. I would highly recommend it to anybody, and I have recommended it to so many people. And in the book, what was brought up was all emotions are on a spectrum from love to fear. Basically, love and fear are the only two emotions. Fear encompasses anger and hatred and envy and dissatisfaction and all these uncomfortable emotions, where love encompasses joy and hope and all of these, much more comfortable emotions. So that made a lot of sense to me. Doing what I do as a psychologist makes a lot of sense. Love and fear and just about everything else kind of fits in between. So still, what is love and fear? Another book I'd highly recommend if you've never read it, The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. I love C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis describes heaven and hell is not fire and brimstone. Hell is people trying to move further and further and further away from each other. Out of fear, they're trying to avoid each other and be as separate as possible. Where heaven is people moving closer and closer and closer to each other, seeking more connection. So our love and fear, this is kind of the conclusion I came to about connection versus separation. So love to me is the realization that we are all connected. It's seeing the connection, understanding the connection you have with another. And while I am not a physicist, I have been really interested in reading a lot about theoretical physics. And there's a lot coming out in theoretical physics that's confirming we're all connected. And that all from this universe is one, and we are on a physical level connected with everything around us. Okay. Again, I hope my random ramblings made sense. I really wanted to share it. Hopefully it makes sense, because if it does and you're going through grief, I'm really hoping that, some of this might be helpful to you like it was helpful to me. I'm hoping to be back and make videos again a little more regularly. If you want to share this video, click and subscribe if you find the content helpful. I will start making more videos again. Thank you all for tuning in.